My name is Greg Walmart. I'm a counseling psychologist, and this is my 15th video in the series I'm doing called Mental Health in Isolation. We're now into the 5th week of the lockdown, and there's prospectively some positive developments on the horizon as the national government has spoken about opening up the economy through various kind of levels and stages as the infection and the death rate adjusts towards the tail end of the pandemic. Nonetheless, despite some of this positivity for the future, there remains a huge amount of uncertainty and a huge amount of stress for a great many people as they're concerns about financial worries, there's job security, there's food security, and a great many other things that are affecting people at the moment and causing unbelievable amounts of stress too. Now, because of the stress, we are coping and adjusting in all sorts of different ways. Some people have been filled with energy and some people have been not very filled with energy and maybe withdrawn onto the couch or within themselves, emotionally and psychologically and physically, in so many different ways. There's been a huge variety of the ways that people have been coping, and there's been no predictable course that people have been able to kind of identify, be able to pick up. There's been no behavioral pattern or emotional pattern that is kind of predictable in this time. So I want to talk a little bit today about allowing oneself the permission to have a varied course, an up and down kind of response to the huge amount of stresses that we have been experiencing during this time. I spoke in a previous video about expectations and about conditional statements, certain beliefs where I should be coping all right, or I should be stable, and I should be fine. And these expectations put in quite rigid kind of parameters about how we should be dealing with stuff. But unfortunately, these beliefs and rigid parameters don't always allow us the flexibility to cope with the changes in our mood and changes in our circumstances. A great many people have kind of experienced highs, lows, lefts and rights, and acute social, emotional, psychological, and even existential stresses at the moment. And these have been really unique and varied in how people have kind of reacted to them. People might have experienced kind of more sleep or less sleep, more eating, less eating, more screen time, less screen time, more time outside, less time outside. And again, the point I'm getting at is that there's such a huge variety in the ways that people have coped that there can't be a one-size-fits-all expectation or belief about how you should be coping. Importantly, I want to make a distinction about kind of mood and affect. And these are quite simplistic but very important things that psychologists are constantly looking at when we're talking to our clients. Now, affect is something that is displayed each and every day, each and every minute about kind of our mood. If someone is smiling and they're kind of quite jolly and filled with energy, we would say in the present moment that their affect is quite positive. They're in a good mood. Mood is a little bit more kind of like long term, so we'd be looking at mood over kind of a course of days or weeks and maybe even kind of months. Now, in the 5 weeks that we've been experiencing the lockdown in South Africa, I have no doubt that a great many people have experienced highs and lows. A lot of anxiety and anticipating, what is President Ramaphosa going to say? How are we coping financially? How am I dealing with, living at home in a confined space? And because of this significant stresses that we've been experiencing, because it's a unique time in the world, we can't impose any expectations that you should be coping in a certain kind of a way. So today's video is just a little bit about how to give yourself permission and the opportunity to allow your mood and your affect to be able to change the course of days and weeks, and to not impose rigid expectations, because those expectations sometimes only feed back a greater degree of kind of pressure, expectation, and more emotional stress. So a very important thing that a great many psychologists have been talking about and will continue to talk about in the coming weeks is about adopting a very kind of benign, very caring, very gentle approach with yourself and great many other people around you. As you're going through a low, we can't expect that we should be all right and we should pull ourselves out of this automatically. Often we're seeing that people will kind of, go through a load to a certain time, and given it, a few days or change in circumstances, they will kind of start to feel a lot more better, feel more positive, and be able to adjust to some of the stresses that they are experiencing at the moment. So very importantly, although there has been a lot of changes and there's certainly some positive developments in the future, be mindful to not impose expectations on yourself that you should be coping and that you should be doing better. If you've not been able to get to projects, to schoolwork, to finances and various other things, be mindful to not impose those expectations on yourself that you should have been doing all right and that you should have been doing well, but rather allow yourself the understanding and the containing and the holding emotionally to kind of get through a very difficult time, and to acknowledge that it is okay if you have not done all right. We can't impose these expectations, but need to support ourselves, need to support other people in this very difficult time. So I hope that for the next few days ahead, you're able to kind of give yourself a bit of a break, you're able to calm and contain yourself, and also allow yourself the permission to not be okay if that's what you're going through at the moment. I'm going to come back in a few days with another video, and if you have any questions, anything you would like to know, please send me a message or a direct message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I look forward to chatting soon. Cheers, bye.